Today, we're stepping into the Halloween spirit by opening up Pokemon's spookiest cards. That's right, this pack of Trick or Treat Booster Bundle. But that's not all, because we'll be using one card from each pack to help us create Pokemon themed designs on these pumpkins. But can you feel the spookiness already? Let's not waste any more time and let's carve into it. Let's crack this baby open. For this challenge, we are opening up 4 packs from this booster bundle, taking what is considered the hit card from each pack to encourage our design for our pumpkins. And I'm hoping that this first card is pretty easy to design. And we've got Quaxly, Fuecoco, and oh, we got the Pikachu. This is one of the biggest hits in the set. So in my research of pumpkin carving, I saw that you can take not 1, but 2 pumpkins to make one cohesive jack-o'-lantern. But we're not carving out Pikachu itself. We're actually gonna go on theme and carve out this Pikachu jack-o'-lantern. I think the symbol is perfect for the Halloween theme we're going for. Now, before I start carving, I wanna pick the perfect place to carve out the Pikachu face. And so even though this part looks a little uglier, this does look like the best place for us to carve that Pikachu. Let me just say, I'm no wizard at pumpkin designing.
You're a wizard, Harry.
In fact, I'm what you would call a novice. But I found that using Sharpie is usually the best tool when it comes to sketching out the face of your jack-o'-lantern. And here's a bit of that rough sketch I was talking about. It's definitely not perfect, but hopefully it looks a little bit better once we carve into it. And so moving on to the second pumpkin here, we're using this one to design the ears of our Pikachu. And by adding these ears from the second pumpkin, we can really bring this design to life and give it more character. Now the moment that we've all been waiting for, carving our first pumpkin. And through some of the research that I conducted, I found that using a drywall knife is actually better than using pumpkin carving tools. And as you can see, I'm stabbing through this quite easily. So I forgot to... Oh man, that was gross. And so what I was saying was, I forgot to gut out the pumpkin first, but then that happened. Anyways, next, we're gonna be doing a little bit harder of a technique where instead of cutting directly into our pumpkin, we're gonna be scraping the surface of it. And what this does is allows a different tone of light to shine through the pumpkin at the very end when we light it up, which should give it a bit more depth and texture to the entire design. Now that I cut out the ear, I'm trying to cut out the back half of it because we don't need it to be so thick to stick into our pumpkin. And we'll do the exact same thing to the other ear before we throw it into the base. And would you look at that? First jack-o'-lantern done already.
No.
Now with the first one done, let's hop over to the next pack opening where hopefully we get another easy Pokemon to carve out. So we have Iron Jugulis. Oh, messed up the card trick. We have Screamtail, Iron Jugulis, and Fluttermane. And I believe this one is also a top hit like that Pikachu. Using Fluttermane as inspiration for this jack-o'-lantern, we'll be sculpting the eyes similar to how we carved Pikachu's cheeks, but with a bit more flair and detail. However, the mouth and some of the accent features will follow a similar style to our last carving. As you can see, with the eye of the pumpkin, we're starting out shallow to add dimension and depth to what may seem like a simple design. Speaking of details, do you have your Halloween costume picked out yet? Is it something Pokemon related? Or something completely different? My wife, daughter, and I dress up on theme for Halloween, and this year we're going as characters from Over the Garden Wall. And as our excitement for Halloween builds, I'm equally thrilled to be wrapping up Jack-o'-lantern number 2.
Wow.
Just kidding, here's the real reveal. Overall, I'd rate this an 8 out of 10. The design is simple, but the smoke effect really elevates it. Honestly though, it looks more like a Ghastly than a Fluttermane to me. But which Pokemon do you think it resembles more? Shh. Look.
Put your head in the bowl.
Did you know that 85% of you watching my videos right now aren't subscribed? Stop goofing around and subscribe now. So keeping with that Halloween vibe, which dark, psychic, or ghost type Pokemon is your favorite? Personally, I love Phantump and Mimikyu. And speaking of spooky Pokemon, let's see what we pull. Starting off with Houndstone, Ghastly, and Look at that, Mimikyu. That's perfect. I couldn't have timed that any better, honestly. For the third design, we're gonna use this big old pumpkin here. But not only are we using this pumpkin, but we're using an additional pumpkin and some paint. Now, the idea is we want to create this into a Pokeball type structure, and within that Pokeball is where the Mimikyu is gonna live. With this design, we're more focused on painting rather than carving. As you can see here, the carving is beginner friendly, but the real challenge comes with painting and how we use two pumpkins yet again to bring it all together. Now, I'm not the most skilled artist, but give me a Sharpie and some paintbrushes, and I can make some magic happen. And when I saw this Mimikyu card, I knew I had to make this design stand out. So I'm really focusing on bringing out its unique spooky charm while also keeping that classic Pokemon look. Funny enough though, I almost forgot about Mimikyu's tail. I guess it was trying to stay hidden underneath that cloak. Now, onto the Pokeball. This part is pretty easy to paint overall, with just a few lines and color fills. And honestly, this part was so relaxing that I found myself getting completely lost within the process. And with a few more details, we're coming to a close on our third spooky Pokemon pumpkin design. Overall, I really think this one takes the cake. It's definitely my favorite, especially with the design of the Pokeball and Mimikyu inside. Alright, let's dive into this last pack. I'm really curious to see which Pokemon will make a grand finale in this video. Is it going to be a fan favorite or a surprising twist? But let's see, Phantom, Chandelure, and Okidogi. Okay, so a newer Pokemon. I don't know exactly what we're going to do with this one yet, but I'm pretty excited to see what we come up with. After giving it some more thought and doing a bit more research, I've decided to switch things up. Instead of carving this one, I'll be trying my hand at sculpting. I haven't sculpted anything since like the 8th grade, so this should be interesting. And from what I've learned, sculpting pumpkins is about the negative space, focusing more on what you don't carve away to create more depth and texture. It's definitely a much more difficult approach than our previous pumpkins, but it should add more dimension to the design. And with that in mind, I'm making Okidogi's nose the focal point of this design. And this is where I made the biggest mistake of the entire video. I knew I had to work on the face, which recedes a bit from the nose. And in my rush, I dove right into carving deep into the brow. What I should have done was take a step back and analyze the entire face and slowly work my way toward the bridge of the nose and the head. But by then, it was too late and the damage was already done. And at this point, I realized what I had created.
It's alive! It's alive!
So I tried to shift my focus to the other details of the sculpture to compensate for my mistake. And with just a few more details and touch-ups, we have finally completed Jack-o'-lantern number 4. While this jack-o'-lantern might not be my best work, I'd say it definitely has its own quirky charm. And with that, all 4 pumpkins are complete. Share what pumpkin carving ideas you had in mind in the comments below. Otherwise, carve out those buttons and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.